Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network from magazines, TV, and radio network. We're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Network. Yes, I'm Robert W. Jones. W is for winning, because we want everyone to win, but that's not actually my middle name. It's actually Wesley, Robert Wesley Jones. I'm glad you're here on another Thursday. I want to remind everyone next week that we have our Unchain Yourself Professional Women's Conference. I will not actually be having a show next week. I will be at the conference with my wonderful wife and a slew of just outstanding speakers. We have Dr. Brittany McCoy, we have Shar McCready, and we have Hannah Kessler. Each one of them has incredible stories that they're going to share, and they're going to also give us, ladies and a few good men that attend, some great tools to level themselves up in this topsy-turvy, crazy economy, this crazy business world that we have. I like to say we're now in the new normal. It's kind of post-COVID. We're in the hybrid. We're meeting in person. We're meeting on Zooms. We're using technologies. We're attempting to get ahead in every way. And that's what entrepreneurs do. Like the Marines, they improvise, they overcome, they adapt. They make the impossible happen. And that's what we attempt to do, and to help everyone here in the iNetrepreneur Network, is to make the impossible happen. I also want to remind everyone that we have still some dates left in our forthcoming #1 international book series called The Art of Connection. The Art of Connection, 365 Days of Transformational Quotes.com. Please know we still have an early bird special. It's $197 for a $550 page in the book. I'm not sure how much longer the publisher is going to let us, have those pages available for $197. So please, contact me through the show, or, just, email me at robert@networktogether.net. I'd love to have you guys, just to even chat. I love reaching out. I also look for different people to come on to the show that have interesting stories. They've overcome the odds. They've beaten everything. Just really great stories to show that they are a passionate entrepreneur. So I love that. I'm also, I want to remind everyone, our most popular place to go is ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net. That's where you can go to see over 1,000 meetings and events that occur both in person and virtually. Plus, we have academy classes, signature events, and summits coming up. As I said, on July 28th in Gilbert, we have the in-person's Unchain Yourself Professional Women's event. But 2 months after that, we're having our next Art of Connection Summit. Our last summit, we had 301 attendees. That's a virtual event. We had people at that event from 10 different countries and 22 different states. So we'd love to have you be at that and learn a little bit more about what the Art of Connection community looks like, because we want you to be a part of it. Also, if you like, go to Facebook. Look for us as on iNetrepreneur Radio. That's iNetrepreneur Radio. Like I said, once you learn how to spell it, then you probably can learn how to say it. Just like us there. Also, like I said, subscribe to our magazine. It's iNetrepreneurmagazine.com. Or, some people say just go to our main website, iNetrepreneur.com, and then you can go to the magazine, you can go to the radio show, you can go to our summit, and, do so much more. So, I'm really excited today. I have a good friend of mine coming on to the show, and I'm going to invite him in right now, because he's probably saying, come on, Robert, get off all these announcements and just let me in. So, so I'm going to welcome him as my good friend, Len DeCarmine. How are you, Len?
Hey, awesome, Robert. How about yourself?
I am doing really good. I mean, I just, Len, it's so funny, for as much time, that we get to actually strategize, plan, bring, topics of, I think, value to our meetings,
Sure.
etc. It seems like it's very often that we actually just get to kind of talk, in this manner, whether it be on a radio show or even in person. We're so busy being busy for others, we don't actually have time just to chat a little bit about what's going on around us, do we?
No, we don't. But thank goodness you and I work quite well together because we can have quick little conversations and then boom, we just get things together. So that's always a plus when you're working with two like-minded individuals.
Yeah, and I was really, happy, and so for people that don't know, Len's in the Phoenix area. I'm in the Phoenix area. I was able to have him come to one of our iNet Connect in-person
Mhm.
interviewing panels, and we had a really good time there. There was quite a few people on the panel. We had a filled room, and it's quite entertaining. And that's one of the things we want to do. It's not just about learning, but it's also about having a little bit of fun. And I
Of
think,
course.
people who have more fun learn faster. People who, right, have more
Yeah.
fun learn faster. And that's something that I think that you do. Again, I'm with Len DeCarmine. He's a certified business coach, teacher, trainer, and host of the Extraordinary Being Movement. Um, you know, and he's also a facilitator Wednesdays from what,
Hmm.
8 to 9 a.m. Correct, Len?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Tell
8 to 9 a.m.
people, yeah, tell people how they can get to your chapter so they can get to meet you, or even come into your chapter as a guest.
Yeah, our meetings, I run the Wednesday Global iNetpreneur meetings from 8 to 9 a.m. We have a fun crew. We have a great time. We had over 20 different people show up, various business owners and guests. And like yourself, Robert, I host the Connect, Business Connect as well. And we had a great time interviewing people, hearing about their lives, their stories. And if this is something you might be interested in being interviewed by me have a full audience listen to you, who you are, and about your business. All you need to do is go to the iNetpreneur Network website, go and click on events, and then locate our Wednesday event and just register there. And we would love to have you as a guest, either to just be there and listen and network, or to be part of the Business Connect interview series. And it is always a great time. Learn so much. I love it, Robert.
Yeah, and it really is a place where relationships create that community, and commerce does
Hmm.
follow. And Len, one of the things I always like to do on this show, and not so often do we really get to talk about ourselves and our backgrounds a little bit, but for people that don't know you, and like I said, it's so much of the time we're working on the business of our business. Sometimes the
Yeah.
personal part of our lives kind of as it goes, but you know you weren't always from Arizona. You grew up in a different state, and
Hmm.
family members, and relationships, and
Sure.
schooling. Just tell us a little bit about the first few years of your life, and what it looked like, as a child, and maybe some of the things that you had interest in when you were younger.
Yeah, a little bit about myself. Really, I'm a New Yorker. You'll hear that a little bit in my accent. I was born and raised in New York, Long Island, until I was 12. Then my family moved out to central Pennsylvania. So you'll hear a little bit of a blend there at times. And then over the last 5 years, I've been here out in Arizona, which I've absolutely loved. It was probably one of the best decisions I've made moving out here for being able to meet people. And being able to grow my business, to really find myself, because back there I wasn't. I was a real estate agent, and I loved the business, but it was very hard at times. It was very, people think it's easy to get into real estate, and it is, but it's very hard to run your business at times. It's very challenging. There's a lot of ups and downs, and I realized after doing that for 12 years that, hey, this is not what I want to be doing. I want to be doing something more. I love helping people, love teaching people, but I really wanted to figure out a different way to inspire people.
But you learned a lot from your real estate career, because I mean, as much as it is let's say, for a lot of
Mhm.
people, the largest investment that they'll ever have in their life, and that's true.
Correct.
I mean, for as much as it is that, it's still even more of a people business, isn't it?
Oh, it's very much so people business. You're constantly servicing individuals. You're actually, even though, as a real estate agent, you do work solely sometimes. Not everybody's on a team, but you still have a team you have to run. You got to, coordinate things with the title agency, the mortgage lender, the home inspector, the appraiser. I mean, they eventually become your team to help get that buyer or seller, to accomplish their goal, either to buy a property or to sell a property. And through real estate, I learned a great deal. I learned about contracts and about laws, how to market myself, how to stand out, how to brand myself, how to niche myself as a realtor to stand out among all the other realtors.
Yeah,
So
and now,
it was very useful.
right, and there's special training to become an agent. You have to go
Mhm.
through, training, but then when it comes to being a realtor, you actually have to live at a much higher level to actually have the realtor name, don't you?
Yes, you have. Every state has different laws and rules, and how many hours you're supposed to complete to get your salesperson's license. And then from there, you can expand your education, and your continue education, and get your broker's license, or what's called associate broker's license as well. Um, but yeah, it is a lot of work to be able to get that, to move forward in it, and just to make things happen.
And another things that I like to bring out about you is, you also have a passion for integrity. You have a passion for, a person having character. And part of that I like to say is, you also have a degree from the Penn State University in criminal justice, and it's like that's why I'm saying it's like your background. It's like you have criminal justice, and you become a
Mhm.
realtor, and we're going to talk into more about
Sure.
what you're experiencing now. But I mean, why some of these pivots? What was it? Just you had a desire to do, maybe different things, or you saw that your skill sets and your desire to do things had changed, and tell us a little bit about that.
Robert, what happened was and just to have a little fun here, growing up, I've always wanted to be a superhero. So when I turned 16 and I didn't get my mutant powers, I was very upset. So I figured, how else can I help save people? So I figured, why not go into, public safety, become a police officer, and just to step back a little bit, my real passion was to become a comic book artist. But
Okay.
I'm a big perfectionist. So I was always very hard on myself because in the back of my head, I never thought I was good enough. So
See,
I
and
never
and
explored
that's
that.
why, yeah, right. And see that I did not know, because some of these
Mhm.
things I knew, but I didn't know that you were wanted to be a comic book artist at one time.
Yes.
And I've actually seen you in offices, and I've seen, like, action heroes and comic
Hmm.
characters around you, and even in the posters, and it still didn't occur to me. I didn't know. I didn't associate that was a part of it. But that's what I love about, getting to know the who and the why, before the what and the how.
Yeah.
Because there's so many, to me, human beings, they're interesting in every single way, and we all have path. And sometimes, diversity slows us down, sometimes it makes us stronger, sometimes it, makes us more resilient. And for others, they need a helping hand to get to those points. And that's
Hmm.
and that's what I see you as today, Glenn. You take a lot of your experience, being a dad, being married, being
Hmm.
single again, starting your life, and kind of transversing this whole new world of, coming into this concept called the extraordinary being movement. Tell us a little bit about what the extraordinary being movement and why it matters.
Yeah. The extraordinary being movement, how that came about was a couple of my friends and we got together one day. We knew each other for a bit. And I came up with the idea. I said, hey, let's do a podcast show. And at the time, we were all kind of at various points of our life, dating, not dating. So we kind of started off as a little bit more of a relationship style show. Not real clear on the name yet, but we were just toying with it. And then I had the idea, I said, let's expand this. Let's make this into a movement of some sort. Let's really get out there to let people know that each and every person
Hmm.
is unique, that they have a special gift. But a lot of us don't see it because we get stuck in life. And we're always, hit with negativity and seeing negative things on the news and always in a state of why me?
Hmm.
And we
Yeah.
lose that. We lose that, and then we lose our gift. Where if we are open and kept our minds open to explore of what else can I be? What else can I do differently? How can I make things better? And went with a different type of mindset that they can expand. So the movement is about helping people find their gifts. It's taking you from just being ordinary to extraordinary. But the funny thing is, Robert, nobody's ordinary. We're all extraordinary, but we don't live up to our full potential.
And
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 that's what this
something.
is about.
Yeah, and something I just want to bring this back because I kind of want to come back and highlight this. I mean, losing your gift, and I like to tell people that all the
Mhm.
time. I mean, we are all born with these God-given gifts that, we are here to share to the world, and so much of the time it's just like, you know, and sometimes, it's been a long time, and I want to get to this a little bit later. It's been women, and then they've had to shove so much, and they've had to persevere. But now we're starting to find, men are trying to find themselves, and they're losing their own gifts in their own way. And that's what I really find interesting to me, because you and I both kind of share the same philosophy.
Mhm.
Embrace diversity, but work towards unity.
Mhm.
It always is about, like, hey, you know it's like coaches. And I tell people this all the time. They're like, well, why did you pick that coach? To me, that is like one of the most powerful questions a person should ask themselves, is why did you pick that coach? And and there could be many different answers, but usually the answer I tell someone is, I picked that coach because they're so unlike me. I felt I could learn more from them.
Sure.
And sometimes when people pick coaches, they pick coaches that, um oh, they pat them on the back and things are great, and this is all well, and but sometimes, or probably most of the time, you know to me, coaching like that really isn't going to accelerate, any movement at all. And I think that you're so right. We as people, all of extraordinary human beings,
Mhm.
when we lose our gifts, Len, I mean, we lose ourself, don't we?
Oh, very much so. Because now we don't have a passion for life. We don't have a purpose to work for. We don't have clarity. So we just end up going through the mundane routine of life. And what excitement is that? Who wants to just work, pay bills, and die? I mean, there's no fun. There's no fun in that.
Wow.
You know.
Jeez,
Live.
when you put it that way, it's like, why live? I'm looking for the hemlock, man. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
there is so much more to life. There's so many experiences, and we need to focus on, not always be chasing that dollar bill, but to be living for those experiences, to be, watching our children grow, being able to enjoy time with our partner, going out and traveling and doing those things, and learning how to level not only yourself up, but also, your partner up, your friends up as well. If somebody has a small business, their friends should be buying from that person. They should be doing business with their friend, not through somebody else, and really support them and in their endeavors to succeed at growing. Because if they're going to succeed, they're going to take those loyal friends with them as well and help them succeed and help them do something. It's a ripple effect. Success is a ripple effect if you're willing to work together and help each other out.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Success is just as contagious as
Mm-hmm.
for those who fail but don't try again. And that is like one of the worst things I could see is, when someone has a passion, and I have another, friend out there, and I mean, this guy's a great cat. His name is
Mm-hmm.
Michael Peterson, and we talked about that. It's like, driving ourselves back to, leading with desire. And
Mm-hmm.
and I always think about, like, it's not just about work, it's about what you pursue. And that's a word I don't hear enough, is like, what is it that you pursue? Because if you pursue something, you can always take it up and put it down, and take it up and put it down, when you're pursuing something. um, and that's what I always like to say, because I want to have a relationship with my wife, I want to have a
Mm-hmm.
relationship with my children, I want to do good in my community. And if I don't stop and pause and look around, and see where I'm at within that community, I'm taking myself out of that community. I'm not a part of that community, I'm apart from that community. And to
Sure.
me, that's where sometimes, business goes wrong. When that aspect of, corporations, they're just extracting wealth from the community instead of building wealth with their community. And I think that that's a place that we need to be. I am here with Len DeCarmine. He is a certified business coach, teacher, trainer, and host of the Extraordinary Being Movement. You can contact him at 814-280-5839 or email him at len@extraordinarybeingmovement. Len, I'm really excited that you are here on your show, but look at that. We went through the first segment like it was, like a matter of moments, wasn't it?
It went by quite quick. Yes. That's what
So
happens when you and I are together. The energy just keeps
I know,
contagious.
some people network together. Gosh, you and I just like talk together. Well, I'm gonna play a little commercial on the Entrepreneur Network, and we're gonna be back for our second segment. So, please, guys, stay on the show with us. I'm gonna have Len back in just a few moments. All right, I am here with Len DeCarmine, a certified business coach, teacher, trainer, and host of the Extraordinary Being Movement. You can contact him at 814-280-5839 or email him at len@extraordinarybeingmovement.com. It's so funny, Len, because I say that telephone number because somewhere in there's a transcriptor that goes out to some of the places, and so that way it picks it up for you.
There you go.
So
Perfect.
because if I don't say that number, it doesn't necessarily pick it up when it's in the podcast part. See, so I'm propping you up properly. How do you like that?
Love it. Thank you, sir.
You and I mean, some of the things that we talk about, they really go into a whole different bucket. And, and what I mean about that is, as men, as people that are of business, as people who really want to be a part of this community, some of the things that we talk about may not be the most, what some people would say, appropriate things to talk about, but I in a way, I think they are, and I think some of the things that, really have happened, in the last even 50 years, when it comes to men is, we're starting to lose what a man looks like in many ways. And then it seems like sometimes, there's an attack on masculinity, and it's tough for me to really wrap my heads around that, because to me, I think that we should embrace masculinity. I think that we should embrace, being effeminate. I think that we should embrace anyone who is supercharged with their gifts that brings better to the world, and sometimes it just seems like, things are changing all around us, Len, and a lot of men, and I'm just going to, bring this book and, Dominate Your Market. This is a buddy of mine, and, and I'm in your book, 1% more, I'm in Brian Wright's book, The Greatest Lessons I Learned from My Dad. A lot of these share and tell stories, about men, but a lot of men right now, one of the biggest things that they have to deal with is just getting the crap and the head trash out, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of toxic masculinity going on right now, and it's that cultural pressure for men to behave in a certain way. But there's a lot of confusion, because you have various types of men. Usually most people associate men in two types. You usually have the alpha male, which is that big burly Arnold Schwarzenegger guy that you see in Predator, going out shooting everybody. You got that type, and then you have the other type of male who's more into his feelings, who is doing breath work and is wearing a hairband and so forth, doing yoga. So you end up with two extremes at
Yeah.
times, and then men who don't fit into those two extremes fall somewhere in the middle, But what really needs to happen is a shift where we need to create more of a what I like to call a modern man. A modern man is a man that has the ability to be both. He has the strong masculine energy, and he has the strong feminine energy. So he knows how to turn it on and off. He knows how to be that protector when necessary, but also knows how to be that listener at the same time to his partner and be able to relate and understand. Not, completely understand because none of us can really understand ever how that other person is, but able to empathize and sympathize and kind of get a sense of where they are and the feeling, to have somewhat of an idea what it's like to be in their shoes.
And a lot of this with men is I think a lot of men that I see out there, they grew up, some maybe it may have had been in elementary school 50
Mm-hmm.
years ago, some 40, some 30, some 20, and as the decades go on, there's even like shifts in what, this new man or the old school man, or this hybrid man looks like. It's like, even within the definition of what a man looks like, there's so many competing camps that, even that kind of twists our thinking about, what a man is. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing I like to say is, like, how do we encompass, how do we embrace, bottom line is, how do we even have an acceptance that maybe, in certain ways they're all right, and in certain ways maybe it may be wrong. How do you work with that, Len, especially when you work with your men clients?
Ask me that question differently so I
Y-
can get clear
so,
on that.
yeah, because it's like, it's like almost like every
Mm-hmm.
decade over the last 50 years, it's like the model of the man has changed.
Okay.
And so, like, it's almost like there's, competing camps of thoughts of what a man looks like over the years. I
Sure.
mean, like, when I was a kid, it was like, when you were a man, you just took the punishment, you don't
Mm-hmm.
cry, you take the whacks, you know and even like when I was in Texas growing up, they still whacked you in school for punishment
Yeah.
if you
Mm-hmm.
were a guy. I mean, I couldn't even imagine any kid getting whacked in a public school nowadays without a
Mm-hmm.
lawsuit happening. In some of the old school men, they say, "Oh man, all these guys are just wimpy." Then you
Mm-hmm.
come to the other side and you have, oh well, those old guys, they're just relics. But isn't there some truth? Isn't there some acceptance that we could have in both sides, like what you're calling that modern men? How do you pair that?
It comes. That is a challenging question because that's what a lot of guys want to know. How do you really pair that? And it's coming down to you as a man. You need to always have a purpose in life, a mission that you need to have clarity on to know where you're going. Because you need to stay to and be true to yourself, your masculine energy, and who you are. And there has been over generations, man has changed from, like you said, from my grandfather, the way he was being a Marine, to how he raised his children, to how I was raised, how I raised my children, and things, and based upon whatever's currently happening in society, we need to learn how to pivot and adjust as men. And
Hmm.
that's where we need to learn how to train ourselves to be able to have that balance of both masculine and feminine energy. I watch a lot of videos where where there's a lot of interview with women, and a lot of women still like that concept of a traditional man, somebody who can protect them, somebody who can be a provider to them. They still like that concept, but they still want to do their own thing, as with this new feminine movement and this new shift in our world of having more feminine energy currently.
And it really, it really affects us in so many ways, because sometimes in me, I love to really look at things definitionally speaking wise. I mean, like masculinity, it's like, in ways we may hear it, but do we actually know what that means from a definitional standpoint? Sometimes we may go like, well, if I understand it and I hear it this way, you know, it maybe it's not as bad, or maybe I can accept men to be that way. Maybe there is a place for it. But
Mhm.
when what I'm finding is, we're looking in the recent years, men's performance in schools are going down. They're not graduating college as much anymore. We're seeing that a lot of them are, boys that are turning into men are doubting themselves. We're
Sure.
even seeing that there's statistics in the army that people, of between 18 and 21 aren't joining anymore. Then you get to, and I'm really fire hosing on this, because it is a crazy thing, because it's like, it's that you know that am I telling myself the truth? Do I feel this way on the inside, but then I need to act this way on the outside? And am I being true to myself? But
Yeah.
but I have to fit in over here, and then my workplace has changed this, and then I go home and I have to be this other way. I mean, it's
Mhm.
starting to get a little bit confusing for us men, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very overwhelming. Suicide for men is about 75% in the U.S.
What,
Uh,
mm,
men's suicide rate is about 75%. On average, about 132 men commit suicide a day for various reasons. I know of a friend who committed suicide after he got divorced from his wife. He just couldn't handle it, and I'm not, and I didn't get the chance to speak with him, but you know, men need that community. They need to
hmm
have that outlet where they can speak freely and openly with other men to discuss these things, to express their feelings, because we're still taught, men have to be strong, and being strong is not always sharing your feelings, or shutting down. We're always stuck with figuring it out ourselves. We need to figure it
yeah.
out ourselves, because that's what we were told. That's what we were taught. Is that's what we were shown from our family, our fathers, and
you
fathers
know it,
before that.
and a lot of men, as they get into their 50s, and I don't know, there might be guys that are in their
Mhm.
20s and 30s, but you'll become in your 40s, you'll be getting to your 50s, 60s, 70s, at least we all hope so, to live that long, wonderful life. But I know a lot of men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, and their greatest concern is they feel like they're alone. It's like
Mhm.
they've been functional, and they haven't created the bonds, they haven't, they're not a part of the community, and then they start to lose themselves in themselves. And so I can
Correct.
only imagine why the suicide rate is so high. But the loneliness rate is much higher. And
Hmm.
I think some of the things that we need to start looking at when it comes to men's issues is, you know where do they start to have places to go, to feel like they can be themselves and they can be in the place. I talk to my wife about that, and I talk to my boys about that. There's many women's events, and there's many women's networking places, and
Hmm.
there's an empowerment groups, and I think that it might just be time. It's okay to be a part of a men's group and to be a guy, isn't it?
Yeah, and there are groups out there. I mean, that I know church groups have men's groups that they put together. I know there's some groups on various event sites that people can attend, and I know men have paid to go on 2-3 day retreats, and just male bonding retreats. Getting rooted back to their roots, as a man, going out there, getting that clarity, figuring out their purpose in life, understanding who they are, so that they can become better men, so they can become better fathers, better lovers, better partners, because that's what we really want. We want to be better. But sometimes we feel that, it's hard to do that when there's so much pushback at times for being a man nowadays.
Yeah, and and men still, they can still be leaders. I
Yeah,
mean, they can still be a part of the family unit, and I think that that's another place that it has really, you know, is tough in our society, because you look at a lot of the different homes, and the men tend to be outside the homes. There's a lot of divorce. There's a lot
hmm
of the kids stay with the mom. The dad gets them maybe on a couple of weekends a month. And so at least for the boys, there tends to be not as much male. Now, I was raised by a single mom, and I feel very blessed that I was, because she took on both roles as the father figure and the mother figure. That doesn't always happen. I also went into the Marines. 3 days after out of high school, I went to San Diego and I was in boot camp. And so, for me internally, I felt like, gosh, I wanted to toughen up even a little bit more. So of course I picked the
sure.
Marines. Geez, wow. You know, but but
But Robert, but I'm sorry to
but
interrupt you, but
that's
something that you said there though,
yeah.
you were raised by your mother, but it sounds like you still felt you were missing something,
Yeah,
and that's why you went to the Marines to
mhm,
get tougher.
yes,
Would you want to
yes.
share a
And
little bit more
so,
about that?
yeah, because it was like one of those things. And in my day, when I was 17, 18, 16, and that, you know, in my mind, my head trash was like, am I as good as males, or kids that come from a man and woman unit,
Mm-hmm.
a father and a mother.
Yes.
And for as much as my mom is amazing, you know I myself internally felt like it was lacking, Len. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to search and replace that. you know and sometimes I think about that. I'm like, am I that different, that other men don't feel that way? Or am I that different that, maybe other men say, you know what? I don't even know how to become a man in a men's group. You know, quite frankly, it was a little bit awkward for me the first, you know, few months. And it was probably like my third year into the Marines, where I just felt like, man, I was like a guy with everyone else, because there were certain little things that seemed like indirectly or even directly that separated me. And I do feel like it's very important to have, role models, that you can see that help, you know um um develop you, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. And that's one of the things I think that I would like to see with more men too. So it's not like I'm saying every man, they just need to have a man in the home to have a man in the home. But what I'm saying is, you know, it's nice to know as a young man, maybe there's, places to go, so I can kind of, catch up with some of the things maybe that I didn't receive,
Mm-hmm.
as a child growing up. And as we see this more and more in society, you look at a lot of different homes, and you look at, statistically speaking, homes that don't have a man in it, that there's more anger issues, there's more addiction issues, there's intimacy issues, there's
Mm-hmm.
domestic violence issues. The kids don't see a man and woman proper relationship if it's in that home. And look, I'm a very open-minded, I'm very socially liberal, so,
Mm-hmm.
or, women, man. you know so I am in each and every way about self-empowerment and, utilizing your gifts. But statistics show that, many times, you know a person grows older as a man, and they wonder, am I good enough
Sure.
to be in the same lane with other men? And that is the place where I think that you help, men do. Because what we do sometimes is we put those self-defeating thoughts in us, don't we?
Yes.
We give ourselves the lie, we give ourselves that twisted thinking. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we tell ourselves that we aren't as good as others, and we may not even know it, but it sometimes it just comes out with good coaching. And that's what I love about what you do. You have taken what you've seen in life, and you work with men now to really help them, level up with their own self so they as well can be the best version of themselves.
Yeah, that's true, Robert. Yeah, I know this.
I just did a big plug for you there. So,
I know, and I was going to take it away.
I didn't even have a question there. I was just like, just you and me talking, and
Yeah.
and that's what's really great about it, because it's like when I talk to my wife, if she's helping level up women, and you're helping level up men, and I love leveling up everyone. You know what? At the end of the day, it makes a better community, and that's a part of what you do, but some of the things that, you have talked about is, these men issues, some of them, why are we, is it just that, or are there other reasons that we constantly fight with ourselves, and why?
Well, I mean, we fight with ourselves because of, our way of thinking. Like you said, we both have shared throughout this conversation, we both have thoughts of not being good enough. Always, that for myself growing up, my father, see, on the opposite end, where you didn't have a father, you was raised by a single mother. I had a father in my relationship, but my father was overly masculine. He always wanted to be the macho man. He wanted his way of being a man was putting people down, belittling my brother and I if we didn't do something right, or belittling my mother during that time frame, or starting a fight with somebody. And to me, that turned me off, because I'm like, that's not the type of man I want to be.
Right. And I love that you say that, because that's just it. When people sometimes think of masculinity, that is what they perceive it as.
Mhm.
But that is not masculinity. That's toxic. And there's
Yes.
a big difference between what, being masculine is and what being toxic is, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Being
You
masculine, when
know,
you're in masculine energy, you're doing something. That's what being masculine is about. You're doing something. So me going to the gym is me being in my masculine energy. Feminine energy is being, within your feelings, being intuitive. That's where feminine energy falls. And we need to find that balance where we as men can stay in our masculinity and be that protector, that provider, going out there doing what needs to be done for ourselves and for our families and for the people that we love. But we also we also need to balance it by stepping back from it and being with
absolutely.
ourselves, being with our partner, being able to manage that balance and to have a healthy relationship. And a lot of relationships fail because of lack of communication.
Everyone, I am here with Len DeCarmine. He is the owner and founder of the Extraordinary Being Movement. He's a certified business coach. He's a teacher. He's a trainer. He can be reached at 814. Come on across here. 280-5839, or you can email him at Len at the shortest domain name ever, extraordinarybeingmovement.com. Again, that's Len at extraordinarybeingmovement.com. Len, fascinating stuff. We're going to take a break. I'm going to play a commercial, and we're going to come back in, and just dig a little bit deeper into how you help men and what you're looking to do, and maybe talk about some of the ways that you do it, whether it's through video or groups or one-on-one coaching. But Len DeCarmine, everyone, I'm going to bring him back in just a few moments. Again, everyone, I am here with Len DeCarmine. He's a certified business coach, teacher, trainer, and host of the Extraordinary Being Movement. You can contact him at 814-280-5839 or email him at len at extraordinarybeingmovement.com. Len, it is really funny because this is really the first show I've ever been able to just talk about men. And,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's been so infrequently that I've been able to talk about men. It's like I'm even wrapping around, in my own self that I really don't specifically design conversations about, how to help men. I talk with my boys. They may
Mhm.
ask me questions and like, who are our heroes, and where do we win in the classroom, and why does it feel like we're always under attack or being underserved, you know and we have candid conversations, and there's other things like they talk about merit in school, and both my boys, they both work really hard. They're at least B's, if not all A students. And, they have a lot of questions too. They look around and, they see themselves, and sometimes they even tell me they feel like, life is not being designed for them, you know,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of challenges for boys as well, because how our minds are wired. And, there was a certain research study that came out, and, one of the primary things that are kind of sucking young boys' minds as they grow older are video games and media.
Yes.
That men tend to be wired in certain ways for technology more often, statistically speaking. I'm
Mhm.
not saying that it just is on that. And they also tend to spend more hours playing video games. They spend more hours, being in this kind of technical environment, but they also see a media that kind of shows that, all these bad things happening. It seems to be that what's another man, and it's another man, and it's another man. We're not nurturing. We don't have good nature, and
Sure.
you know there's a lot of stress out there. We have already talked about fatherless homes. Sometimes there's really a lacking of support. For men. I know when I was looking, after I graduated high school, it was like my support group was the United States Marine Corps. That's
Mhm.
where I went to feel like, okay,
Sure.
I gotta, earn my man card, but I think that, as we're pushing through, and in what you're leading with other great men is, you're starting to provide those outlets, and you're starting to provide those resources, and, places, where we can go to kind of start feeling like, hey, I can look around me. I can be masculine. I can embrace femininity, as well, and I can be that complete, real modern man, as you say.
Mhm.
So when you work with men, in what ways do you do that, Lynn? Is it one-on-one coaching? Do you do kind of like a directed learning process? What does it look like to work with you?
Yeah, what I have available that I'm going to be launching here soon is going to be a 12-week online training program that you're going to be going through a series of trainings through understanding, getting clarity for yourself, understanding relationships, understanding you as a man. And we're going to go through the four pillars that I have that I share through the Extraordinary Being Movement and in my book. We're going to be going through awareness, understanding yourself, your partner, the world around you. We're going to go through growth, how you can grow and change and adapt in life, action, what actionable steps you should be taking on to build a better relationship, have better conversations, to be on your roadmap to accomplish your goals, and also the impact that you're going to be making not only on yourself but on your family, on your spouse, and on the world around you, and how powerful that you are as a man in your ownness and owning it and being accountable for it is going to make a difference on every single level of your life. And I do that, and I have people they're going to be going through those four pillars to have a better understanding. And also during that time period, they're also going to be getting coaching. I do as a group coaching format where they're going to be, they can call in every week, join every week, and we're going to tackle some of these, problems that that they're challenged with, and find solutions for them, and go over foundation or go over awareness and figure out where their roadblocks are. Why aren't they being self-aware? What's their blind spots? What's working and not working in their life, and have a safe conversation about that with other men, so that they can hear from other people's stories and what worked for them, what didn't work for them, so that they can feel empowered, so that they can turn around and go back to their partner and make their relationships better, and then report back on see how it worked.
And and that matters so much, because really, and I say this on the show quite a bit, because I love the quote that my mom said. She says, it's not a woman thing, it's not a man thing, it's a person thing. And as soon as we all understand that, the sooner that we can all move forward with
Mm-hmm.
velocity. And I take that same statement, and and I think about it, and I think about, what's that like in business. And so much of it is like, when you spend so much time just trying to figure out, what's my role in this workplace, and what are my rules of engagement, between people, and you know what is termed PC today, because
Mm-hmm.
last year even it wasn't even the same. And
Yeah.
then we go through COVID and whatnot. And you know and I talk to a lot of male entrepreneurs, and sometimes they feel a little beaten, you know
Mm-hmm.
and my thing is, and some people say, well, they deserve it, they've been, it's been like this for so many years. And of course I'm like, no one, no woman, no man, no kid, no aged person, no one should ever feel beaten. No one
Mm-hmm.
should ever feel like, you know they're not empowered in their own environment. And in addition to that, what are some other specific challenges that you see that men have, that you may work with, and that a man might hear, it's like, what, Len, I am that guy, I need your help.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is the feeling of not being good enough. I think
Hmm.
all of us um, face that challenge, but more especially men. I think there's more pressure on them for them to be good enough in order to provide, to be able
Hmm.
to protect, to be able to go out and make that money so that he can take care of his family. And I think that feeling of never feeling good enough haunts a lot of people, because like I share a little bit that I through my youth I always felt that I was never good enough, because my father felt he was never good enough. So he projected that onto my
Yeah.
brother and I, which then stayed with us. And not until I did the work to be able to let that go was I able to really grow. And there's still days where I feel like, am I really good enough? Am I really good enough to be on this show talking with Robert right now about this? Am I really good enough to be the leader that I need to be to make a difference in people's lives? It's still there. It's just how you manage it and how you work through it. You have to reflect on the belief. Is this belief really valid? Can I honestly say that I have never done anything right? And the answer is
Hmm.
no. I've done a lot of things right. So I know it's just a false belief that I'm making because I'm feeling insecure. I'm just doubting myself.
you know
And I
and
gotta
it,
go ahead.
yeah, and I'm listening to this, and I think that that's a part of it, Len. It's like when you don't feel good enough, or you feel misplaced, or life is getting by, or I grew up this way, but it's like what's around me has changed, and all of a sudden you take yourself out, you start to
Mm-hmm.
become alone, you detach yourself. I think a lot of what happens is we lose our power, and
Yes.
and we freely give up that power. And I think we don't see it like in the media, and we don't see, in the digital marketplace, enough of the word empowerment for men.
Hmm.
And I think, a lot of men out there, they really need to, start feeling extraordinary again. Because to me, if only half the population, you know, feels extraordinary, only half the population, you only get half the results. And
Yeah.
and 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 like in the entrepreneur network, we've always made it like equally yoked. It's like men and women, everyone is at the same standing and whatnot. And you know, we cater to way more women, and they're pursuing that empowerment, they're pursuing that growth, they're pursuing that ability to be someone. And and I don't see as many men, really doing some of these things as I see with a lot of the women now. And I'd like to see more men going out there and saying, what, I too want to be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I'm up there, my wife's up there, we're both being the best versions of ourselves. And I think that is kind of like, if I'm going to live in a society, if I'm going to be in a business community, that's the one I want to be in, where we
Mhm.
share equally, our unique superpowers and talents. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, Rob, absolutely. And I wanted to share just something that you can do now as a man
Hmm. Yeah.
to feel empowered, and that is to take ownership, to accept yourself for who you are and recognize nothing in life is perfect. Just commit to the journey of self improvement. Just commit to yourself to become a better man.
Yeah.
And that's not that hard to do. All you have to do is 1% more than you did yesterday. Go out, read a self help book, go spend more time with your spouse, take her out on a date, spend a little bit more time with your children, take ownership for yourself. And that's where it begins. That's where the change, the transformation begins. And once you do that, then things will start opening up and start
Oh,
changing.
and it is so funny that that word ownership, Len. I
Mhm.
mean, isn't it? Sometimes it's easy to say, but boy, it's hard to do, isn't it? Sometimes.
You just got to commit to it. It just say,
Yeah.
what? Hey, I'm going to take ownership for myself, and it is. But
Mhm,
that's what makes you a man, by stepping
mhm.
up and taking that responsibility, by being accountable and taking that ownership. That's the first step.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about this as well. Even in like the third book, The Art of Connection, it's
Mhm.
365 days of transformational quotes. And you know, I would love to have more men in this book,
Mhm.
sharing their stories, sharing the quotes that they live by, overcoming the odds, asking questions to their reader. You know, we need some more stories of men, expressing that transformation, because men still read. you know,
They sure do.
men still read. And it's amazing. It has a picture of a butterfly in the book. This one, the second one in this series, has the Grand Canyon. And it's like, hey guys, it's okay, to freely, you know give,
Mhm.
give that best of yourself. Because what, there are other men that are also looking, for you. And like I said, it goes like this. Hey, I want everyone to win. It's not about you winning, or her winning, or him winning. It's about all of us winning. And a part of that is like, it's all of us sharing as well. Len, I mean, you are such a rock star. I appreciate you coming on the show. We
Thank you.
And believe me, I mean, I know us. It's like I have to temper my thoughts. I have to temper where I am, because I just, I know myself with you. We just can, go on and on. But everyone,
Mhm.
I'm with Len DeCarmine. He's a certified business coach, teacher, trainer, and host of the Extraordinary Movement. I have his information scrolling across the screen here. You can contact him at 814-280-5839, or email him at the wonderful email address of Len at extraordinary beingmovement.com. Len, is there any other way that people can get a hold of you?
No, those are the best ways right now. Those, give me a call or send me an email. We can chat, set up a discovery call to see what's going on in your world and see how I can assist you.
Yeah, and if you want to be interviewed with Len, please reach out to him. If you want to be on the iNet Connect interviewing panel, his chapter meets from 8 to 9 every Wednesday. You can go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net. Just register there and see if you're a good fit. And I know Len. He'll make you look like a rock star.
That's
Len,
right.
thank you. Len, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Of course, Robert. Thank you for having me as a guest. I appreciate it.
You bet. All right. I was with Len DeCarmine, and it's amazing how fast an hour can go by when I have Len on the show. Please, come see us. We're here every Thursday, except next Thursday, because we have the Unchain Yourself Women's Professional Conference coming up, and we want everyone there. Unchain Yourself Professional Women's Conference, July 28th from 9 to 5 in Gilbert, Arizona. You can go to NT Events, click on 728, and get your tickets to attend. So at any rate, have a great weekend, everyone, and I will see you in 2 weeks.
You've been watching the iNetrepreneur Show, a production of the iNetrepreneur Radio Network, with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.